A massive bombshell just dropped at the Madlanga Commission this afternoon. General Sibiya just exposed high-ranking police officers who all received bribes from Cat Matlala. And the names he mentioned will shock you. Don't skip a second. Watch till the very end.
Issues arising from close personal relationship with the Office of the National Commissioner. I have on numerous occasions received complaints from various members of the South African Police Service regarding allegations of nepotism and preferential treatment within the Office of the National Commissioner. In this regard, I have prepared a presentation which I take the Commission to and which is attached here too, marked SS38, setting out the familial and personal relationship between certain individuals employed within the Office of the National Commissioner. I raise these issues because the existence of close familial personal relationship within a single executive office warrants scrutiny from a governance and oversight perspective, not because such relationships are inherently improper, but because of the heightened risk they pose to objectivity, accountability, and the effective functioning of internal controls. Where reporting lines, decision-making authority, or access to sensitive information intersect with personal relationship, there is an increased risk of perceived or actual conflict of interest, preferential treatment, and weakened oversight in an institution such as SAPS, which exercises extensive coercive powers and manages substantial public resources. The maintenance of transparent, impartial, and robust governance structures is essential to public confidence and institutional integrity. It is for these reasons that the relationship reflected in Access SS38 warrant careful examination within the scope of the Commission's mandate. In amplification of the above, it is noteworthy that the conduct and role of the other Deputy National Commissioners have not been examined by this Commission, despite the Commission's mandate to scrutinize senior leadership within the South African Police Service and the effectiveness of oversight mechanism at that level. In particular, the Deputy National Commissioner responsible for Policing, General Musikidi, who was implicated in an incident at a macro store, in which it was alleged that she attempted to purchase household appliance through informal means and was subsequently deceived by two individuals who allegedly provided her with empty boxes after she had paid them an amount of 10,000. Following this incident, General Musikidi opened a criminal case of theft against the two individuals, alleging that her belongings had been stolen while they were assisting her to load groceries into the vehicle. The two individuals were arrested, after which General Musikidi later withdrew the charges of theft against these two individuals. The matter was thereafter referred to IPID, which commenced an inquiry into General Musikidi's conduct arising from the incident, notwithstanding the referral to IPID and the existence of an ongoing investigation. An internal report prepared on the instruction of the National Commissioner subsequently cleared General Musikidi of any wrongdoing. What is of concern from a governance and oversight perspective is the apparent disparity in the manner in which this matter was addressed when contrasted with the scrutiny applied to other senior SAPS officials. Despite the seriousness of the allegations and the fact that the matter had been referred to IPID for independent investigation, an internal report commissioned at the instance of the National Commissioner purported to exonerate General Musikidi. This raises legitimate questions as to the consistency, independence, and robustness of internal accountability mechanism within the SAPS, and whether similar standard of scrutiny are applied uniformly across senior leadership. In or about April 2024, the Public Service Commission issued a report in terms of Section 194 of the Constitution concerning allegations of appointment irregularities at the SAPS. In that report, the Public Service Commission concluded that the promotion of General Sibiya to the position of head executive support and internal relations was irregular. A copy of the PSC report is attached here to marked as SS39. Subsequent engagement took place between, I'm reading throughout. Subsequent engagements took place between SAPS and the PSC regarding this finding. This engagement culminated in the preparations of an information note by Lieutenant General Dineo Nkua, the Divisional Commissioner Human Resource Management, in which SAPS records its disagreement with the PSC's conclusion. In the information note, SAPS maintains that the appointment of General Sibiya was effected in compliance with the applicable legislative framework and with the requisite authorization of the Minister of Police. A copy of the information note as well as the related correspondence is attached here to marked Annexa SS40. The apparent disjuncture between the findings of the Public Service Commission and the position adopted by SAPS management reflects a broader institutional weakness in internal governance control, particularly in relation to senior appointments, compliance with prescripts, and a clear delineation of authority. Effective governance within SAPS requires that oversight finding be meaningfully engaged with remedial steps be taken where irregularities are identified, and that executive authority be exercised in a manner that is demonstrably consistent with the constitutional and legislative obligations. A further point of concern for me is that General Sintumule has publicly denied having an association with Matlala. This denial is, however, difficult to reconcile with information that has come to my attention. In particular, it appears that Matlala was invited on the instruction of General Sintumule to attend the Sub-Service Excellence Award, and that the donation was accepted from his company Medicare 24 in connection with that event. I am in possession of a WhatsApp communication which indicate that General Sintumule instructed Major General Manamela to extend an invitation to Matlala to attend the Service Excellence Award. About 2024, it is further alleged that 10 refrigerators were accepted by General Sintumule as a donation from Medi 24. I am also informed that Matlala and his wife were invited to General Sintumule's private residence prior to a relocation to a trip to Cape Town, not relocation. It's a typo.
Sorry, General. The refrigerator donation was to the SAPS or to her personally?
It's to the SAPS during the Excellence Awards. Those are the fridges that will be given to the best performer on this or that.
Thank you.
In addition, it has been alleged that General Sintumule personally benefited from Matlala in circumstances that were not disclosed. These allegations include that certain elective medical procedures were performed by medical practitioners, the cost of which were paid for by Mr. Matlala. I am advised that these benefits were not declared through any formal disclosure. I raise these matters because...
Sorry, General, just before you move on, when you say it has been alleged, who alleges this?
Firstly, I think we had a witness here that spoke about certain senior managers who received BBL. And then in my case, what I said, where I said that because I work with her every day, I had to give her off. Sometimes because she could not sit, even in the car, even in the office, because she could not work. She had to always, at all times, be standing the whole day because she was not supposed to sit. And I even advised her to work from home. So as to the question as to who alleges, sometimes I shouldn't at this point in time maybe disclose who gave me the information, but I am able to give to the commission if I have to give. I'm forced to give it to the commission because sometimes people's lives could be in danger as well.
Well, I think you should provide to us where you get information from. Otherwise, it just is this allegation that's written in the passive tense. It has been alleged. So I would ask that you do give us that information. You can give it to us during the adjournment, if you wish.
Yes, may I come back maybe the next morning with that response, Chair, so that I consult extensively in that regard.
Continue.
I raise these matters because, if established, they would raise serious concerns relating to conflict of interest, disclosure obligations, and the integrity of governance and oversight mechanism within the SAPS. I accordingly place these matters before the Commission for consideration, insofar as they may be relevant to its mandate to examine ethical governance, accountability, and the effectiveness of internal safeguards within the senior leadership of the SAPS. The National Commissioner's leadership style. The National Commissioner's approach to conflict resolution has on a number of occasions reflected inconsistency and apparent partiality, particularly General Kumalo and myself. Although the National Commissioner acknowledged my concerns regarding being undermined and bypassed by General Kumalo, his interventions were largely limited and reactive rather than proactive or corrective. In one instance, I was advised that certain issues should not be raised publicly or in the presence of junior officials. While this guidance is understandable from the perspective of maintaining hierarchy and discipline, its practical effect was that the conduct complained of was not addressed, thereby allowing the situation to persist without consequences. The National Commissioner's approach in these circumstances appeared to have the preservation of long-standing personal relationship over the consistent enforcement of accountability, proper governance, and command discipline. During a visit to Cape Town, the National Commissioner convened a private meeting with the Provincial Commissioner of Crime Intelligence from the Free State. It was the Provincial Commissioner, and then it was the Provincial Commissioner of Free State, and then the Provincial Head of Crime Intelligence, and several senior crime intelligence officials. Despite my position as the Deputy National Commissioner responsible for crime intelligence, and notwithstanding that operational oversight of these matters fell squarely within my mandate, I was neither invited nor informed of this meeting. The meeting proceeded for approximately an hour in my absence. This exclusion had the effect of undermining my authority and bypassing established oversight and command structures. It further illustrates a pattern in which informal and decision-making were centralized, while institutionally mandated oversight roles were marginalized, to the detriment of transparent, accountable, and effective governance within South African Police Service.
You said informal, I think it's information. 3 lines from the top, 3 lines from the bottom.
Which information and decision-making were centralized, while institutionally mandated oversight roles were marginalized, to the detriment of transparent, accountable, and effective governance within South African Police Service. A further concerning example of inappropriate conduct relates to the National Commissioner's engagement with my former wife, Ms. Christine Bonang Ngwenya. Without my knowledge or consent, the National Commissioner disclosed to her allegation that I was lobbying for his position and investigating the former Minister of Police, Begitele. He further instructed her not to disclose this information to me. This conduct circumvented established... This conduct circumvented established professional and institutional channels and constituted a clear breach of appropriate boundaries by drawing a personal relationship into an internal professional dispute. It had the effect of undermining my standing within the service, compromising trust, and exacerbating tensions in circumstances that ought properly to have been addressed through formal and accountable mechanism. The National Commissioner's conduct reflects a pattern of unequal application of accountability standard. While I face suspension and intense scrutiny, General Mkhwanazi remained in his office despite serious criminal allegations. He consistently protected General Khumalo despite documented complaints and misconduct, allowing him to continue influencing crime intelligence operations without consequences. This disparity in treatment reinforces concerns regarding selective enforcement, inconsistent consequences management, and the erosion of principled leadership within the service. Overall, the leadership approach of the National Commissioner may be characterized as predominantly reactive rather than proactive, marked by partiality and the protection of personal alliances, the centralization of decision-making authority, inconsistent communication, and a tolerance for the persistence of misinformation and reputational harm. In conclusion, I wish to express my sincere gratitude to the Commission for affording me the opportunity to place evidence before it on matters of significant public importance that affect the country, as well as issues that have had a profound impact on my professional career. I have approached this process in the spirit of transparency and cooperation, mindful of the Commission's mandate to examine systemic weaknesses, accountability failures, and the effectiveness of oversight within the criminal justice system. This process is grounded in the Constitution of South Africa, which requires that all exercises of public power be lawful, accountable, and transparent, and that institutions entrusted with policing and criminal justice operate without fear, favor, or prejudice. It is my hope that the Commission's findings will assist the President in safeguarding against the use of public funds and state resources for purposes unrelated to the constitutional mandate of the criminal justice system, including the pursuit of personal vendettas, factional interest, or succession battles, but are instead deployed solely in furtherance of the constitutional imperatives of accountability, impartiality, and the public interest. The misuse of state institutions and resources for such purposes undermines the rule of law, erodes public confidence in law enforcement agencies, and diverts scarce resources away from their constitutional mandate to prevent, combat, and investigate crime. Furthermore, it is incumbent upon leadership, not only within the criminal justice system, but across the public service more broadly, to remain constantly mindful of the people they are entrusted to serve. Public office demands that the interests of the public be placed above personal ambition, factional consideration, or internal contest for power, and that state resources are never deployed to advance such interests. Section 195 of the Constitution requires accountability, ethical conduct, and fidelity to the public interest in the exercise of all public power. I accordingly trust that the Commission's findings and recommendations will assist in strengthening oversight, restoring institutional integrity, and ensuring that the criminal justice system serves the people of South Africa rather than personal or factional agendas. The Bill of Rights is a foundational pillar of South Africa's constitutional democracy. It affirms the rights of all persons and entrenches the value of human dignity, equality, and freedom. Where law enforcement agencies are captured, manipulated, or utilized to shield certain individuals from accountability or to